involving a semi-automatic handgun in February of 2014. The Mavericks guard pled guilty and was sentenced to community service and a $5,000 fine in New York, in New York court. Then it says, he was sentenced to 500 hours of community service. The authorities said his estranged wife's lawyer brought a semi-automatic handgun to a police precinct and said it was his.
Yeah, she fronted on him.
Right. Felton was charged under the state law that bans many large-capacity ammunition magazines. Prosecutors said Felton's gun could hold about 20 rounds. Excuse me.
Yeah, that'd be something different.
Yeah, 20 loads. So basically,
ask me about my winner.
So really, it looked like one of those type deals. Looked like one of those type deals where because he was out of the city, because he left New York.
Good for him.
I guess that's always an option. You can always leave our fair state.
Because I honestly thought that there were like some minimum sentencing guidelines to those gun laws, but hey, Ray lawyered up and he got a better one than Plaxico had, who, by the way, Plaxico Burress, his wife, is a lawyer, which is troubling to me that he went to jail for a day. Like, what the hell did I pay for all that schooling for, Brad, if you can't get me off this damn charge?
And then they lost everything. Then she had to move out the mansion and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
and he was about to go back to jail a couple weeks ago for tax stuff. I don't know what the hell I'm looking at.
I missed that.
Yeah. It's one of those things that it's ridiculous. I'm about to turn it, as a matter of fact. Yeah, it was one of those things that I read it, and then I just saw it, and it was like, okay. Then the next day it came out that he wasn't going to have to, not the next day, but a couple of days later, he wasn't going to have to serve no jail time. So, it wasn't worth me bringing up.
Yeah, I'm watching the swimming competition, too. I like the way they mount the board, the springboard.
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
Like they mount the board and had to give everybody like a full back shot as they prepare for it.
It's not a back shot. Okay, LeBron James has signed 2 years, $46 million with obviously the LeBron James opt out. I'm just going to start calling it the LeBron James, the opt out after 1 year. And again, Tristan Thompson's still out there. He's just like, all right. Here's the thing, though. We talked about it yesterday. Mark Cuban got money to spend. And I know Tristan Thompson is a power forward, but a name that came up today that, just kind of, I guess because the natural assumption was that he was going to stay with his team was Enes Kanter. But that was, I think the Oklahoma City Thunder do retain him, but his name just never got, not that I saw, got brought up during all this free agent, this week of free agency.
Neither J.R. Smith.
Well, J.R. Smith's name did come up after he opted out, and his name came up in the fact that David Griffin said they want to re-sign him. They have intentions on re-signing him. Of course, it's going to come down to the money because JR is probably going to want more than the 6.8 he gave up, but that's going to be.
Yeah, he's going to get 1.3.
Yeah, well, no one's getting 1.3.
He's going to get David West. He's going to get David West got 1.2 million.
Well, he's an idiot. That's why. He's an idiot.
And that's what JR going to get, 1.2. Like, we ain't got no more money now. You shouldn't have opted out of your $6 million. Nah. Who the hell you think you are?
JR get a little bit of money.
Turned down $6 million.
I think Tim Duncan, did Kevin Garnett just get $5 million? Or is that Manu?
Yeah, for 2 years.
One of those dudes.
For 2 years.
Like
no,
2 for 10, right?
He just signed 2 years.
210, right? Yeah.
And if he can't play that second year, then he automatically just moves right into management. So.
My man. Second tier, homeboy. That's what you got to think about. That I heard Kenny Burns call it the tap out. That's the tap out right there, home. So yeah, but this Enes Kanter thing is interesting, and the thing that I'm referring to is the fact that the Portland Trailblazers actually signed him to, or gave him a maxed out, I think 4 year, $70 million offer sheet. In which the now Oklahoma City Thunder have to match. So I'm thinking, if you're Mark Cuban and you have to spend the money, which, by the way, before we get to him having to spend the money, the big winner, the big winner from, the big winner from this whole Deandre Jordan situation, Wes Matthews. Give it up for me. Yeah, give it up. Oh, yeah.
But he also could be the biggest loser.
Whatever, dude. That dude went from, initially, he was supposed to sign a 4 year, $52 million deal. Yeah, because Mark Cuban, he has to reach for those of you who don't know, we always hear this term, the salary cap. Everyone can understand what the salary cap is, but there's also a salary floor, the amount of money that you have to spend, the minimum that you can spend. So Mark Cuban has a bunch of money that he has to spend. So that being the case, and we didn't get Deandre Jordan, hey, Wes, how about an extra $18 million? He went from 52 to $70 million. My effing man. And by the way, if you guys didn't notice, Wes Matthews has a torn Achilles tendon from last year. He's not even healthy and made an extra $18 million for doing nothing. For nothing. Yeah.
For not opting out.
That's
not bouncing,
what you call winning. Winning.
It is.
So where was I? I was talking about. Dang, I left my point to get back to Wes Matthews. Oh, I was talking about Enes Kanter. So yeah, 4 years, $70 million in offer sheet got thrown out to Enes Kanter by the Portland Trailblazers, and of course we respected. Well, everyone's expected the Oklahoma City Thunder to match it, but to the point you made yesterday, if I'm Mark Cuban, I got money to spend, and it looks like, okay, LeBron's locked up for the next 2 years. He's not waiting on this whole Tristan Thompson thing to work out. I don't know. What do you throw at Tristan Thompson? I mean, you were prepared to spend 4 for $80 on DeAndre, which I just mentioned. Some of that money just went to Wes Matthews. So you come in a little bit lower, 4 for $70 or whatnot for a guy like Tristan Thompson. I don't know. You make the offer, and then the other thing you do with that is you kind of set the market on him. Because I think what the problem is in Cleveland right now is that his number or the value that he thinks he has is higher than the value that the Cavs thinks he has, and so they haven't been able to come to a deal yet. I don't know. This is just me being an old ghetto GM. I don't know how all this stuff works, but if I was Mark Cuban, what the hell? Oh, what the hell? You're gonna make DeAndre Jordan your centerpiece. Why not Tristan Thompson? Who, at the end of the day, we're talking about maybe 5 inches or so in height, but the league is going small anyway. So let's go. Let's ride. Who cares?
I mean, might as well just to see. I mean, you have nothing to lose at this point.
I don't think so either.
So it's like at least see. I mean, if nothing else, you go help Tristan. You go give him leverage. If nothing else, or
not, because if he wants 80 and you offer 70, the Cavs say, "All right, quit Tristan. How's 72 sound?" You know what I mean? And it's still below.
Right. And you get to play with LeBron.
Right, and it's below 80. So yeah, it could end up hurting Tristan. But like I said, I don't know how the ins and outs of this stuff. It's just my ghetto point of view, as they say. The Hawks, by the way. Oh, to give you guys an update, the Hawks, we do have the final. Everything became final on this whole I'm gonna call it Enes Kanter, this Thiago Splitter deal. The Hawks have actually sent a second round pick, right, and something else. There's a second round pick and something
Euro
else.
Players and
your boy.
Like 2 Euro players.
What's his name? What's the kid's name with the black name?
Walter Tavares.
Yeah, Walter Tavares is headed towards San Antonio along with the second round pick for Thiago Splitter. And that's the deal. We didn't have all the details on it a couple of weeks ago when it was proposed, but today, now that everything has shaken out, to say the least.
So basically, they got Tavares to go ahead and sign his contract with the Hawks, and then they agreed.
I'm sorry. It's not Tavares. It's the rights to Georgios Printezis, Printezis. He's a.
When did we get him?
And a future second round. He's been over I guess they drafted him. He's been overseas, continuing to play. So they just obtained his rights, which will cost the San Antonio Spurs nothing. So
but it'll work for the Spurs.
Yeah, there's no money that comes off their books. And then the Hawks get another big. DeMar Carroll ended up signing his deal. Former Atlanta Hawk DeMar Carroll has signed his deal officially with the Toronto Raptors, which I know. When you and I had this discussion the other day, and you don't really look at DeMar Carroll the way I look at him. I think him as a swingman, as a three, that's going to be a crazy void to fill. Now, I read this article today. I think it was on Bleacher Report talking about how to replace him. A guy who does so much for your team on both ends of the court. And basically, it mentioned actually filling that void with 2 players. And I think that's kind of a monkey wrench in the program. Because then you have, if Thabo Cephalosha can come back healthy, you have a good defensive player and a guy who can knock down open shots, but not a guy who can get his own. But then you have Tim Hardaway Jr., who you just traded on draft night from the New York Knicks, who has shown the ability at times to drop 20 on somebody every now and then, but can't stay in front of nobody. So, I mean, it's not like you can put these dudes in a machine and come out with, Thabo Hardaway. Nah, it's 2 dudes. So you're actually really sacrificing whenever one of them is in the ball game. Excuse me. You're sacrificing something. Whereas with DeMarre Carroll, there really was no drop off. And knew what you was gonna get. You're gonna get your 16 out of him on offense, and then you're gonna get a guy who could definitely play defense on some of the best wingmen in the NBA. And I said it when he left. I said it when he signed a deal. I think this is going to be a situation for the Hawks where going into the season next year, there's going to be a noticeable difference in the way the team is able to play, because we always talk about their ball moving and everything. But I remember this, Rob, at the beginning of the year, the one thing that caught my eye the most out of anything was how active they were defensively. Where having a rim protector didn't matter because they were so active with their hands. Everything was on that proverbial string, as people talk about. Everyone knew what everyone else was doing. Everyone was communicating, and we saw that thing break down a little bit in the playoffs. Especially, we saw
really the second half of the season.
Right
after that great January, we started saying bits and pieces. We started saying cheats in the armor, like here and there. We started seeing a lot of things happen. And then when you talk about not Tiago Splitter, but Cephalosha, when he made his return, and then as quick as he made his return, of course, the situation in up in New York happened, which hampered the Atlanta Hawks defensively. So yeah, dude, I don't know. I don't expect as much as I had talked about the East not really being much. I think that DeMarre Carroll, as far as what the Hawks did with him, I think it worked really well, and I think that that the Hawks. This might sound crazy, but I think the Hawks will miss him more, and what he was able to do for the Hawks will be missed more than what I think he'll be able to provide for Toronto.
It
might sound crazy.
No, it doesn't sound crazy. It doesn't sound crazy at all. I understand exactly what you're saying, that his impact here, the impact that he would have made here, is going to be a little bit less
right.
in Toronto. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I had that thought earlier today, and I don't want people to think to themselves like, oh, see, boy, glad we got rid of DeMarre. No, it's not that. It's kind of like, it's that marriage we're always talking about between like quarterbacks and head coaches, like the Bill Walshes and the Joe Montana. Yeah, Joe Montana could still ball when he went to Kansas City, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same when he was with Bill Walsh and with George Seifert, because that marriage was so good. Steve Young was hot garbage in Tampa. He ends up getting married to the right coach, and boy, we got a Hall of Famer on our hands all of a sudden. You feel me? Yeah, sometimes it's just that marriage. And DeMarre Carroll's a good player. But the one thing I will say, though, Rob, don't get caught up in the numbers with him, because defense travels. If a dude can play defense, he can play defense for anybody. Maybe he doesn't get as many buckets because he'll be up there with DeRozan and Kyle Lowry and those boys. He may not get as many buckets because the team is not the team of the Hawks, where it's ball movement and whoever's open gets the open shot. They have guys that they depend on more so than in Atlanta, where there really are no guys that are dependent on. The system is more dependent on than anyone else. So absolutely, I get it. I get your point 100%, and I think you're right. I think DeMarre Carroll may go from 16 to 13 points a game. But on the other hand, he might find himself becoming an all-defensive player, a Tony Allen type.
Yeah. Well, if nothing else, he's going to that pay window.
That's happening. $16 million a year, $16, $17 million a year. My man.
Yes, it is. For a journeyman.
Yeah.
For a dude that prior to him going to Toronto, he had been on 5 teams in 4 years, or 4 teams in 5 years, and so this is great for him.
I'll take any motherfucker's money if he giving it away.
You damn right.